What if I told you that beneath one of the most sacred places on Earth, something ancient is waking up, something that could rewrite everything we know about human history, faith, and our place in the universe? Jerusalem's Temple Mount has been the center of human conflict for thousands of years, but now, after decades of secrecy, underground scans have revealed something no one was prepared for. And what scientists found down there defies explanation. If you're ready to uncover truths that most people will never hear about, hit that like button right now and subscribe, because what you're about to hear is just the beginning of something far bigger. It began with a noise, a dull, rhythmic vibration beneath the eastern foundations of the Temple Mount, captured by seismic engineers studying the structure's integrity. At first, they thought it was minor tectonic activity, until the readings began to repeat at precise, regular intervals. The pattern wasn't random, it was mechanical, almost like a pulse. Using ground-penetrating radar, the team discovered a vast hollow chamber nearly 40 meters beneath the ancient limestone, a chamber whose geometry did not match any known tunnel or cistern. Its angles were too clean, too deliberate, and embedded in its center, a dense metallic anomaly that deflected electromagnetic waves as if shielded by something not of this era. Within days, access was restricted. The Israeli Antiquities Authority denied any active dig, but satellite data showed nighttime movements, crates, generators, floodlights, entering the compound under heavy guard. Then came the leak. A whistleblower released 3D scans showing a structure with symmetrical pillars, each engraved with identical patterns. Not Hebrew, not Arabic, not anything linguists could recognize. Some claimed the symbols resembled pre-Canaanite iconography never before seen in Jerusalem's archaeological strata. Others called it impossible, because the layer in which this structure sits predates the first temple by at least 1,000 years. The deeper the scans went, the stranger it got. Magnetic fields fluctuated wildly, equipment shorted out, fiber optic cables melted. One researcher described an audible hum, like a distant trumpet, that appeared whenever sensors reached the central object. The recordings were confiscated, but a 5-second clip leaked online, a low, vibrating tone, causing interference in nearby devices. Experts dismissed it as a hoax, until analysis showed the frequency matched one previously recorded near the Dead Sea, connected to other unexplained subsurface anomalies. Infrared imaging revealed narrow passageways leading toward the Mount of Olives, aligned to the exact spot where ancient prophets said a river of life would emerge in the end times. When this alignment was presented to the team, they reportedly halted all excavation immediately. Whatever this structure was, it seemed deliberately engineered to connect the Temple Mount to prophecy itself. Then came the fragment. Buried in encrypted files, one image stood out, a piece pulled from the chamber's wall, made of an unknown alloy, lightweight, non-corrosive, partially translucent, under UV light. Its molecular structure showed isotopic ratios not found in any known terrestrial metal. When markings etched into its surface were translated into light-frequency spectra, they revealed 4 characters arranged like coordinates. When plotted on a global grid, they pointed to Mount Sinai. That's when everything went silent. The project vanished from public databases. Researchers were reassigned. Official statements claimed no significant findings. Yet pilgrims and guards around the Temple Mount began reporting an intermittent subterranean vibration felt through the western wall's stone floors, a deep, resonant echo from somewhere beneath the foundation. And then, for the first time in over a century, part of the eastern retaining wall began to shift. Stones sealed since the Ottoman era trembled, enough to send dust rising from cracks. Witnesses described hearing not cracking rock, but something metallic moving beneath the earth. The timing coincided with an unpublicized operation by Israeli and American engineers to stabilize the mount. But the data collected, seismic, magnetic, acoustic, was immediately classified. Still, fragments leaked. Images showing heat signatures where none should exist. The conclusion was inescapable. Something beneath the Temple Mount is alive in a way that defies explanation, pulsing, resonating, almost aware, and it's beginning to move. Beneath the mount, the vibration intensifies. Instruments record fluctuations too rhythmic to be seismic. The pulse rises and fades as if responding to observation itself. Engineers drill a narrow fiber optic probe through bedrock. The feed transmits seconds of footage, then static. When recovered, the camera lens appears warped, as though exposed to extreme heat from inside solid stone. But beneath the distortion, frame-by-frame analysis reveals carved steps leading downward, illuminated by a faint, bluish light with no visible source. When the footage leaks, physicists identify an anomaly in the light's spectrum, ultraviolet resonance consistent with Cherenkov radiation, normally seen only when particles exceed the speed of light in a medium. Something beneath the Temple Mount is producing subatomic activity impossible under natural conditions. The pulse continues, growing stronger, synchronized with a repeating harmonic pattern. When mapped to frequency, it forms a perfect Fibonacci sequence, nature's fundamental code appearing beneath humanity's holiest ground. Days later, a Vatican archivist contacts the Israeli Antiquities Authority with a warning. A 12th century Crusader manuscript describes a chamber of light beneath the temple, guarded by an order sworn to silence. The text claims those who disturbed it experienced the trembling of the mountain and the blinding of the sun. The manuscript's map, drawn with medieval precision, matches the modern seismic contour almost exactly. Within hours, the Vatican denies involvement, yet a coded communication from their archives leaks. The resonance has returned. A multinational team flies in under the guise of cultural preservation. A quantum materials expert, a linguist specializing in Proto-Semitic scripts, and a historian of Second Temple artifacts. The linguist identifies inscriptions on fragments brought up through micro-tunneling. When scanned under hyperspectral light, each symbol emits a distinct electromagnetic frequency, an alphabet carved in vibration. Decoded, the sequence translates to, "The foundation shall rise." Inside the chamber, pressure sensors detect fluctuations like breath, expanding within confined space. Air density changes without detectable airflow. Every few minutes, readings spike with a barely audible tone that matches recordings from 1999, when a similar hum was reported during an illegal dig. The frequencies match perfectly. Whatever lies below has been resonating for decades, waiting for contact. Deep seismic tomography reveals a secondary void branching northward, large enough to house a cathedral-sized structure. Its layout mirrors the Haikol Haelion, the upper sanctuary mentioned in mystical Hebrew texts as a hidden temple built before Solomon's. According to legend, it was sealed until the appointed time. One 3D rendering surfaces online before being purged. A symmetrical chamber with massive concentric rings embedded in the floor, magnetically polarized, oriented to magnetic north. Scientists attempting to analyze the magnetic field collapse after exposure. One experiences temporary blindness. Another hears a single sustained trumpet blast inside her skull. Their neural scans show identical wave patterns, synchronized like two radios tuned to the same hidden signal. The rings generate low-frequency electromagnetic waves identical to those detected in deep space phenomena, particularly pulsars. The structure is both ancient monument and cosmic receiver, an antenna buried in Jerusalem's heart. Meanwhile, eyewitnesses in the Old City notice subtle shifts. Metal railings vibrate at night. Water in cisterns ripples in concentric circles without wind. A faint hum reverberates through stone alleys when the moon reaches zenith. The pattern aligns perfectly with astronomical data, peaking when Earth passes through specific solar particle streams. The Temple Mount is responding to space. The excavation team uncovers a sealed door at the chamber's far edge. Laser scans detect traces of metallic composite identical to the earlier fragment, non-terrestrial in isotope balance. Etched across its center, an ancient seal broken in 3 parts. One historian recognizes it from a forbidden Dead Sea Scroll fragment describing the Covenant of the Deep, said to contain the voice of the first light. Officials order a complete lockdown, yet a final transmission escapes. Thermal footage showing a sudden heat flare radiating outward from beneath the platform, an expanding circular wave visible from orbit. Within minutes, the vibration ceases. The hum disappears. Silence. But seismic sensors kilometers away continue detecting movement, not random, but pulsed, as if something vast beneath the city has begun turning, aligning, preparing. Whatever was sealed beneath the Temple Mount is no longer dormant. It's listening, and almost instantly, something listens back. A signal, faint, mathematical, echoes from deep beneath the mount. When decoded, it reveals prime numbers in organized sequences, repeating at intervals, mirroring human neural oscillations. It's not random noise, it's structure. When cross-referenced with seismic archives, scientists find identical pulses hidden in data from 1979, 1963, even 1902, long before digital instruments existed. This resonance has been communicating in cycles for over a century, waiting for humanity to reach the right frequency. A classified satellite detects a sudden electromagnetic spike centered on the Temple Mount, so powerful it briefly scrambles GPS over half the region. The flash lasts 4 seconds, but its waveform bears an eerie signature, the same golden ratio found in the DNA double helix. The pulse coincides exactly with a cosmic event, a burst of high-energy particles from a distant pulsar thousands of light-years away. Somehow, the mount resonated in perfect synchrony with deep space. The Vatican Observatory issues a restricted report, noting the burst aligns with a constellation revered in early Hebrew astronomy as the Gate of Heaven. Theologians trace the prophecy. When the gate and the earth speak as one, the world enters the 7th cycle of light. Archaeologists return to the chamber through a newly opened fissure. The metallic rings, previously motionless, are now faintly rotating, emitting a low glow that reacts to human proximity. Time-stamped footage reveals missing frames, seconds erased from existence. One researcher notes the internal air pressure briefly inverts, as if the chamber inhaled. When they attempt to record, digital files overwrite themselves with binary code. Translated, it forms a phrase in ancient Aramaic. Behold, the measure is restored. Moments later, lights in the old city flicker. Security cameras capture a flash of blue radiance emerging from beneath the plaza, illuminating the crowd in silence. Eyewitnesses describe the air turning thick, metallic, as if gravity distorted. Amateur footage leaks, frames showing shadows projected upward instead of down. The light originated underground, then refracted outward in a perfect spiral matching ancient temple blueprints, the pattern of the first sanctuary, said to contain the breath of the Creator. By dawn, data centers monitoring global magnetism record disturbances radiating outward from Jerusalem in perfect concentric waves reaching Cairo and Athens. Each wave lasts exactly 72 minutes, the same number repeated in mystical Jewish numerology for the hidden name of God. A joint task force convenes in secrecy: astrophysicists, linguists, theologians. Their mission? Determine whether the resonance is geological or intelligent. The entire subterranean complex aligns with three ancient ley lines, one intersecting the Great Pyramid of Giza, another cutting through Mount Sinai, the third vanishing into ruins beneath Babylon. Satellite gravimetry confirms faint subterranean conduits linking these sites through Earth's crust, channels of anomalously dense material as though crafted at planetary scale. The data overlays form a symbol, the same sigil etched into the door beneath the mount. Sensors capture a secondary signal from deep below the Dead Sea. The frequency matches the Jerusalem pulse exactly, delayed by 6 minutes. The source? An uncharted cavern 2 kilometers below the seabed. When the two signals synchronize, a vibration ripples through the crust, shifting magnetic poles by a fraction of a degree. Compasses across the region twitch northward, then stabilize. Underground, the chamber hums louder. The air shimmers. Researchers retreat as temperature plummets, frost forming along walls, despite desert heat above. Something massive moves within the door's seal, a mechanical groan, ancient yet deliberate. Carved symbols across pillars ignite with pale gold light, revealing concentric circles around a central point. The outline of a human figure, arms outstretched, surrounded by flame. Every light source dies. The last footage frame shows the floor splitting along perfect radial seams. Within that darkness, a pulse, measured, intelligent, alive. The hum rises again, echoing through the city's foundations. And in the silence that follows, a single word forms in the static of every recording device, whispered like breath through ancient dust. Prepare. The word ripples through every sensor, every frequency. Monitors flicker as if consciousness passes through the signal. The sound carries no identifiable voice pattern, yet every listener swears it spoke directly to them, in their native tongue. Linguists discover the waveform contains 13 harmonics stacked at exact intervals of 432 Hz, the divine frequency of the ancient world. When mapped visually, the waveform forms a perfect image of the Temple Mount's floor plan, complete with the chamber beneath it. The chamber floor shifts. Stone grinds against stone as concentric rings retract inward, revealing a vertical shaft lined with metallic panels engraved with fractal patterns. Radiation meters surge, but the energy signature resembles cosmic background radiation, like the universe's birth echo concentrated beneath Jerusalem. As the core descends, it emits a blinding flash of blue-white light, splitting into 7 beams. Each pierces through cracks in the mount, extending into the night sky, visible for miles. Witnesses across the city describe total silence as alarms, traffic, and voices vanish. The beams converge above the dome, forming a geometric lattice rotating against the stars. Astronomers report an impossible phenomenon. The stars themselves seem to realign, bending light as if responding to gravitational anomaly. The pattern resembles the Sephirot from the Dead Sea Scrolls, but written in the heavens. Within the lattice's core, Telescopes capture an orb of dense plasma, oscillating like a living heart. A stream of subatomic particles, muons, bursts from the chamber, traveling upward through bedrock. Within hours, detectors in Geneva, Siberia, and Antarctica register the same harmonic pulse. For the first time in recorded history, Earth's electromagnetic field resonates as a single, unified wave. The planet itself is humming. Then transmissions begin, not from the mount, but from orbit. Satellites receive encoded bursts of data at the same frequency. When decrypted, they form coordinates marking sacred sites: Mount Sinai, Göbekli Tepe, Machu Picchu, Angkor Wat, Stonehenge. Within hours, those regions emit faint rhythmic tones, ancient temples separated by oceans, suddenly linked by invisible resonance, pulsing like a global heartbeat. The phenomenon lasts 6 minutes, then stops. The team regains signal for 20 seconds. The cameras capture the shaft fully open, revealing a vast circular chamber descending into darkness. In its center stands a structure, tower-like, smooth, metallic, vibrating gently, almost breathing. Lines of light trace across its surface in spirals, converging toward a single sigil matching ancient Mesopotamian tablets describing the gate of the deep, a door through which the voice of creation once spoke to the first builders of man. Then, the feed cuts. All communications go dark. Power across the old city surges, transformers exploding. A shockwave of low-frequency sound ripples through foundations, setting off car alarms as far as Tel Aviv. The beams vanish. Silence returns. But as emergency crews arrive, they find something unexplainable. Ground temperature above the chamber has dropped 12 degrees, yet every compass spins violently, searching for a new north. The following morning, sunlight over Jerusalem appears distorted, scattering in a spectral halo, forming a perfect circle above the Temple Mount. Pilgrims gather, claiming to hear faint harmonics like distant voices woven into the wind. Governments issue denials. Satellites reorient. Scientific teams disappear. Yet one untraceable audio file circulates online. It contains no speech, only the hum. When analyzed, the frequencies form a mathematical progression identical to the ratio between Earth and the Moon's orbital resonance. The pattern ends on a tone repeating every 7 minutes and 22 seconds, the exact duration of the global pulse. Audio engineers inverting the waveform reveal a chilling detail. Underneath the hum, buried in subsonic range, a whisper, too low for the human ear. It speaks a name, ancient, repeated once, and then the file stops, mid-syllable, as if something somewhere heard it being played and answered. What lies beneath the Temple Mount isn't just waiting to be discovered. It's waiting to be heard. And now that we're listening, what comes next? If this sent chills down your spine, share this video. The world needs to know what's happening beneath Jerusalem. Subscribe, because this story is far from over.